our development projects. There's a whole ton of them. Hopefully you can't get into any of them except for this Slingshot one that, okay, with this user, okay, this user. All right, so, I see Stephen was able to create his test database. Yeah?
That was from
That was from somewhere else.
ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anyway, okay, we got your own database. You're good. Okay. So, over here on Slingshot, this is the database that I created, and in it, I just did 2 tables. I was just kind of messing around with stuff, and I was going to show you. I don't have a different. I only have the one table there. So let's pull the information down. So I've expanded the table. If you expand the table, you can see the columns. You can see here's your primary key, so you can see that that's actually a key in your table. I've already got data in here because I was anticipating pulling data, which may cause me some problems. But if it does, that's okay. And I shouldn't have any data in this table. So this was just my other one that I created when I was playing around with the table. So going back to our vehicles table. So you can right click here and just do select top 1,000 rows. Be cautious if you're doing this in live databases. You need to not lock it if you're just pulling all that data, because you don't want it to tie up so that other people can't access it if you're doing like a large query or something like that. But in any case, for our dev stuff, it won't matter. And also with our just tiny little well, that's interesting. With our 9 records, I don't know why that did this. I don't recall stopping that, but regardless. Okay. So we have our data. Now, as I was saying before, you can do a where clause. So you can just be like, where vehicle make equals Ford. All right, and I'm press F5 to execute that. That's only going to return the rows where vehicle ID, where vehicle make equals Ford. Okay. Now, let me create another table. I guess I can do it in. One other thing to note: if you have Slingshot selected on your database and you hit New Query, it'll automatically put you into that table. It'll know that you are referring to that particular table when you start creating your queries, so that you don't have to preface it with the schema and the database name and all that kind of stuff. So
not table. Database.
I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yes, that particular database on the server. My bad. So yes. So if you select the Slingshot database, when I hit New Query, it'll know that I'm talking about this particular database, not. And so I don't have to say, oh, we're going into the slingshot.dbo, whatever. You don't have to preface it with everything else. So.
Have you showed them how to look at it from the drop down, or how to select it from the drop down?
Oh, here. Yeah. If you just want to switch it. So this has all of our databases. And so if you're like, oh, actually, I meant to do something on the scrap. I wanted to write a query on the scrap database. I don't have access to it now because I'm a Slingshot user instead of my normal one. But in any case, if you did have access, you could switch to that database and then go for it. But nonetheless, we're just going to write a query for our Slingshot database. So I'm going to create a table. And
can you
this
increase
table,
the font size or zoom?
yeah, probably.
I don't know if you can, but zoom.
Surely there's a way.
Fonts and colors. I think fonts and colors at the top. There we go.
Is that better, or it needs to be bigger?
Probably could be a little bit bigger.
How about that? Okay?
Yeah, that'll work.
You can go bigger or go home. Oh yes, that's perfect.
Anything's options.
What now?
Go bigger or go home.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's almost 6. Do we need to take a break? No.
If you want, you can kind of power through till like 6:15, then.
They want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I'm going to create a table and I'm going to name it owner. It's going to be backwards because I'm doing this weird. But we'll say owner ID, that's an integer. Am I going to add in it? And first name. We'll give him 25 characters. And last name. Do 25 characters for that. Hopefully we don't run out. Okay. And then we'll have our constraint. Did I miss anything? I don't typically create tables off the top of my head. We'll see if that works. Excellent.
Ooh.
Okay.
Headshot.
Now, we'll refresh it. Now we have all these fields. Now what we would want to do is we actually want vehicles. Let me see if it'll let me, see if this will let me add that owner ID since I, not giving me any grief about it. Okay. So now we can insert some owners into our table. So we'll do a new query. Insert into owner. Okay, insert into owner. That was it. Yeah, first name, last name. See if that works. Yeah, okay. Alright. So now we have all these owners. So we can go over here and I don't want to edit my top rows, but you can see them regardless. You can also select them. Now, if I want to go back, don't say no. Yes. Maybe.
Do you, before when you ran it, like if you ran the same thing again,
Mm-hmm.
would it
It would,
duplicate it?
yeah, it would just generate 4 more with the same names, but then they would get their own IDs. So
Okay.
Carrie would be in there twice, and Adam would be in there twice, and Derek. I would still just be in there once.
For the insert or for the create table?
Oh,
For inserting.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If I hit this again, I can do it just for fun. So now if you go select, everybody except me is in there twice because I am I did mine separate. Like I overwrote the one that where I did my own name. So I'm not actually on this query as well.
So where are you writing the query?
That's it.
What's, is it in a file or is it like a console?
This, well, I'm just writing it here in SQL Server Management Studio, but normally what you would do is it would be in your code somewhere, and we'll do some stuff with Entity Framework that'll just kind of a different way to do it.
But SQL Server Management Studio actually lets you run the queries directly from that window.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have nothing highlighted, nothing selected inside that box, and you hit the execute button, it's just going to run all the queries that are in that window.
Yeah.
And it's not stored anywhere, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
You can save it if you want. That's what it's asked me. Like every time I try to close this, it's like, do you want to save these changes? And so I can say yes, and I can store that. You'll see I've got some queries that I run frequently, and so I want to save. But I don't actually want to save this, so I'm just gonna say no. I don't need it. So, all right, and I'm gonna close this out because I don't want that. I don't want to try to create that table again. All right, and I'll close this. Now, the other thing that I need to do, because if I go over here and select these, none of my vehicles have owner IDs. So I need to update my table. So we can write that. Y'all want to help me with that one? What I need to do is add some of these owner IDs over here into this field. So, do you remember how we update? Anyone?
We can insert, just update vehicles,
Good.
owner ID, update vehicles, set owner ID to whatever you want.
Yeah. Create one where, because I don't want them all to be my cars, where vehicle ID.
Yeah, do not ever run an update query or a delete query without a where clause.
Yeah.
Because it basically applies whatever you're doing to the entire table. Everybody does it at some point, but try to stave it off for as long as possible.
Until it's as important as you can.
Right. Like, I've only done that in production like twice, and only on like less than 1,000 records at a time. So, gotten fairly
Here,
lucky.
I'm sorry. One thing that I was going to point out here, it said invalid object name vehicles, and here's the thing. This query was run from the master instead of from the Slingshot database, so I need to go down and select that. So be wary of that if you start seeing. So I don't like to qualify all my stuff out. I'm very lazy about that. I don't have that cutesy thing that you have where you dot and it fills all that stuff in for you. So. All right, so I could go through and do this. I'm just not going to do all of them. I'm just going to go in and type them in manually because I'm lazy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, could you do all of them if, like, could you do 1, 2, 3, and would it do it in order, or no?
Now you have to be pretty specific. For that. Okay.
You could say we're in and then a list.
Yeah. You mean do like set owner ID and give it a list where vehicle ID in and then give it a list? Or is that what you're talking about?
I'm sorry, were you asking about like a wall?
Yeah, if you want to like, if you want to set all the owner IDs at once.
But if you want them to be separate IDs?
Yeah,
so
like
owner
if you
ID
could set them all to one by just neglecting to put that in there.
Right, I
And
mean,
that
like
would set them
unique,
all to one.
unique IDs.
I'm gonna say, I think he's saying like creating unique IDs for all
Oh,
of
you
them
mean-
without specifying, like basically an like I can imagine he's kind of thinking like an incremented ID for each one.
It doesn't have to be incremented.
Or a brand new
just
quid,
like,
let's say. for
if
each
you
one.
knew all the
Like random.
IDs, like, I don't know.
No, because you have to tell it which one goes where, so it's not like.
Okay, like you can't like specify an order if you did it.
No.
C#.
That's where you'd want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point,
Yeah, you could-
using
Yeah.
C# to do that.
Yeah,
Some-
you could,
someone-
yeah, for that, but not just in straight
There's
SQL. It's just
probably-
not.
There's probably a way, it's probably just very.
Yeah, I mean, anything you can imagine to do, there's a complicated way to do it inside of
You can just write a stored procedure. to
Yeah,
do
you can
it,
write a
but
stored
I mean-
procedure to do something silly like
Yeah.
that, but
Anyway, yeah, it wouldn't.
for
it would-
simplicity, no, the simple
Yeah.
update doesn't do that.
It's easier just to right click over there and just go in and update your whole stuff that way. Alright, so now they all have some random owner IDs. Hopefully I had at least 8 owners. Yes, I did.
Yeah, one comment about, did you actually show them the right click, edit 200 rows or whatever? The only downside to that is it locks the whole table. Or it locks those 200 rows
Yeah.
that you pull up, so.
Yeah, that's
More
not
sure.
something you would want to do normally.
In like a production database.
Exactly, yeah. I just was too lazy to do it manually. Hopefully you're not going to be doing a whole lot of that, like on a whole bunch of records anyway, that is like individualized. Like if you needed to change 20 records, because like one of the things that we do in Scrap is we have like we have like a period where they can subscribe, and so once they've been moved over, we have to like do a whole bunch of them at once, but it's like the same thing done to a whole bunch of records. So in that case, you could specify, well, I've got these 30 people, we need to update this one field, and it's just one statement, so you could run it through, but you would be updating like a single field about 20 different records the same way. So in that case, you can do it to multiple records, but it's because you're setting the same value to all of the fields. So yeah. Anyway. Now, let's take a break, and we'll do joins for 5 minutes when we get back, and then at least we have to play in Sequels every day.